Now, Louisiana's best newscast, live in high definition. This is KNOE 8 News, your breaking news and weather authority.
Coming up, we've got breaking news regarding the search for the woman connected to the abduction of a local child. Indicted in 2012 in court today, a city saga finally starts to play out. We've got the details.
Right now, from your breaking news and weather authority, this is KNOE 8 News at noon.
Good afternoon, I'm Pete Sousa. Those stories are straight ahead, but first, meteorologist Tim Levine has your first check on the forecast.
Well, we had a very active weekend in the weather department and still a very active day here as well. Rainfall just beginning to taper off throughout the region, now mostly confined to the northern portions of the viewing area. However, there is a little bit of a wraparound precipitation that may not necessarily be hitting the radar. Current watches and warnings showing a wind advisory in effect for the northeastern portions of the viewing area, extending from Ashley County, Arkansas, all the way down to Franklin and Tensas Parish, and all of the counties, all of the parishes in between are under that wind advisory as well, since we've seen some very gusty winds with this system. We're also seeing the radar lighting up in the north with a little bit of rainfall, and some rainfall that's not necessarily showing up on radar in the form of some drizzle from some low clouds. Other than that, though, should be a rather rainy day for the rest of the day and cloudy day, but the breezy conditions and rainfall will back off by the end of the day. Question is, how's Halloween looking? That's our next step. I'll let you know more coming up.
We start you off this afternoon with breaking news. Police have located and captured the woman connected to the abduction of a local boy. The Ouachita Parish Sheriff's Office arrested 23-year-old Summer Hadaway this morning. Yesterday, Hadaway kidnapped 8-year-old Dakota Knox, who was asleep in the back of an SUV outside the Lincoln Motel. Last night, the Ouachita Parish Sheriff's Office found the child unharmed on Old Depot Road in the Swartz area. Ruston police say the child's mother walked inside one of the rooms at the Lincoln Motel, leaving the child and the car unattended. Police say the child's mother did not know Hadaway, but the mother says she did see Hadaway in the motel room before she stole the car and kidnapped the child. Hadaway will be booked into the Lincoln Parish Detention Center on charges of theft of a motor vehicle and kidnapping. The long-awaited trial of Ricardo Nance is expected to begin today at the Monroe Courthouse with jury selection. If you remember, in 2012, Nance, a former city employee, was indicted for public payroll fraud. He was charged along with former city leader Cynthia Morrison. Nance worked in the engineering department in the city of Monroe, where he was hired by Morrison. He's accused of taking money on work he never completed. Nance was fired by the city in July of 2011 after pleading guilty to assault charges. The assault charges and dismissal were linked to Nance pointing a fake gun at another city worker. A manhunt is underway this afternoon in Ouachita Parish. Authorities are searching for an attempted murder suspect after a reported home invasion and shooting over the weekend. Sheriff's deputies say early Saturday morning, 5 suspects forced themselves into a home in southwest Ouachita Parish. 4 of them were captured and are pictured right here. 23-year-old Donald Rice, 25-year-old Timothy Woods, 25-year-old Heather Ruff, and 17-year-old Justin Stampley. All are charged with home invasion and attempted second-degree murder after someone was shot inside of the home. Now, the 5th suspect, Frank Dozier, is still on the loose. This is a new picture of him just sent to us by the Ouachita Parish Sheriff's Office. If you have any information, call 911 or the Ouachita Parish Sheriff's Office at 318-329-1200. Now, that number is listed on your screen. Also, the Ouachita Parish Sheriff's Office is searching for another man. This one is suspected of armed robbery at the Family Dollar store in Calhoun. Deputies say around 8:30 Saturday night, an unknown suspect entered the store dressed in all black. He was wearing a hoodie and a mask. The man was armed with a handgun and demanded cash from the register. No one was injured in the incident, but the person responsible is still on the loose. To New Orleans, where another search is underway. This one for the person who shot an off-duty police officer last night. Now, this is the scene from the shooting. It was reported around 8 p.m. The officer is said to be named Derek Frick. Reports say he was shot in the lower neck or portion of his face. He was taken to the hospital and is in stable condition. Now, the police department says Frick was not on duty and was not wearing a police uniform at the time of the shooting. Frick was also reportedly driving an unmarked police vehicle. New Orleans police do have a vehicle they're looking for as far as the suspect is concerned.
Right now, what I can tell you, we're looking for a brown or gold 4-door SUV, small in nature, probably a GMC or Chevy. It does have dog tinted windows, and it is believed to have fled into the Old Desire area housing development.
We'll continue to bring you the latest information on this story as we gather more details. To politics, the race for Louisiana governor comes down to the next 28 days. After Saturday night's primaries, Republican Senator David Vitter and Democrat John Bel Edwards will advance to the runoff. Elizabeth Vowell tells us neither candidate is slowing down.
John Bel Edwards and David Vitter may have won enough votes to advance to the gubernatorial runoffs, but there is no time to celebrate. Barely an hour after the primary race was called, Vitter launched an online fundraiser to boost his campaign finances. He also wasted no time taking aim at his opponent.
Voting for John Bel Edwards would be the same as voting to make Barack Obama governor of Louisiana and put those policies in Baton Rouge.
Meanwhile, Edwards took time to meet with media Sunday morning in Baton Rouge. When it comes to finances, Edwards says he'll continue to focus on his state-based grassroots supporters. He also fired back at Vitter.
If he believes the biggest challenges facing Louisiana come from Washington, D.C. and this president, I suggest he stay in Washington, D.C. and fight this president.
Saturday night, Edwards led with 40%. Vitter trailed with just over 20%. Now both candidates must try to win over the remaining voters. Edwards says he's reached out to both Jay Darden and Scott Angel, hoping to sway their supporters with what he calls a mainstream message.
The people of Louisiana know that voting party isn't guaranteed to get you what you're looking for. And so they're going to look at the individual.
Vitter was not available for an on-camera interview, but told 9 News he's confident he'll win over more voters in the runoff, saying in an email, "They realize we need solid, conservative Louisiana leadership to get us out of the ditch we're in."
The runoff election will be on November 21st. Monroe police are asking for your help this morning. They say a robbery suspect is on the loose. Michael Burks Jr., who you're about to see right here, there he is wanted for simple robbery. Now, police tell us the crime actually took place on October 12th at 105 Hart Street in Monroe. Burks was driving a small red pickup truck at the time of the crime. Now, police say it's possibly a Chevy S10, but we do know for sure that the truck has Louisiana tags. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers at 318-388-2274. That number is on your screen. All right, coming up, Facebook makes a promise to stop sapping the strength of your phone. Plus, Tim Levine is here with a recap of the rain and, more importantly, to tell us what is ahead.
You're watching #1 rated KNOE 8 News, your breaking news and weather authority with Pete Sousa and Tim Levine.
For the second week in a row, gas prices have taken a nosedive, falling about 3.5 cents over the past week. So the average price for a gallon in Louisiana remains below $2 at $1.94. And more good news. Experts say it's quite possible that prices at the pump will continue to drop over the month of November. They report retail prices could fall another 10 to 12 cents this month. All right, now to some more finance news. Who is the top automaker in the world? And why is Facebook repairing its app? Joe Wagner has all this and more in your CBS Money Watch.
All the major U.S. stock markets are now back in the black for the year. Strong earnings from tech companies rallied Wall Street Friday. The Dow jumped 157 points. The Nasdaq gained 111. It's now back above the 5,000 mark. Just minutes before the midnight strike deadline, the United Auto Workers Union and General Motors reached a tentative agreement on a 4-year contract. It's expected to include long-term pay increases. Local union leaders will vote on that contract Wednesday. Toyota is once again the top automaker in the world, selling nearly 7.5 million vehicles in the first 3 quarters of the year. Toyota was bumped from that #1 spot earlier this year by Volkswagen, but Volkswagen sales have taken a hit recently. The German automaker is dealing with fallout from its emissions scandal. And Facebook admits its app was draining your iPhone battery. Now, a fix. Facebook released a new version of its app. Facebook made the change after an outcry from users. They found the app was draining the battery even when they weren't using it. And that's your CBS Money Watch report. For more, follow me on Twitter at Jill Wagner CBS. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Jill Wagner.
All right, I bring in meteorologist Tim Levine. Now, Tim, you were in Baton Rouge over the weekend. We're looking at some flooding right there at LSU. I know you were at the football game. This is
yes, it was
not the
rainy,
football
too.
game, but look at that.
Yes, and there was quite a bit of ponding when we left the stadium that Saturday night after the game. Of course, it's a good thing LSU did win. We were at the game the entire time, and there was a lot of areas that saw lots of ponding, and they just received more and more rain as the night went on. So I'm not terribly surprised that Baton Rouge saw as much as they did. Areas, in the Baton Rouge and New Orleans area, right around southeastern Louisiana, up to a foot in some spots. In our area, even though radar estimates are saying 3 to 6 inches, I'm pretty sure that most of us saw anywhere from 5 to 8 inches area-wide. I would not be surprised at all. Of course, radar estimates are not always the most accurate, but right now, given the fact that Monroe Regional Airport's rain gauge is out and there's not a large mesonet to work with, it's kind of all we've got to really work with, unfortunately. Of course, our next Skywarn spotter course for giving cool storm reports such as this will happen on Tuesday, October 27th at 6 p.m. at the Public Safety Complex in Ruston. So come check it out. Chief Meteorologist Tom Pearson will be live. I'll be there as well. I want to meet all the people that are coming out to become brand new certified Skywarn spotters. Of course, it'll be the basic course, so that'll be the very first of a couple of courses that would be required. Either way, as we go through the rest of the day, heavy rainfall subsiding through the area, breezy conditions as well backing off. We still do have wind advisories in effect for the northeastern portions of the viewing area. It includes anywhere from Ashley County all the way down to Richland Parish and Tensas Parish and Franklin Parish as well. So just bear that in mind as we go through the rest of the day. It's still going to be a little gusty out there. Still seeing some rainfall trying to stream in. This is really the last gasp, as it were, of this storm attempting to regenerate rain throughout the region. And most of us have received quite a bit of it. Thankfully, though, not a lot of reports of flooding. We've seen some areas, especially in Start. We saw a couple of viewers come in telling me that they got about 8 to 8.5 inches in their rain gauge. They were using a 5-inch rain gauge and pouring it out when it filled up. Chief Meteorologist Tom Pearson in Union Parish saw 8.14 inches, and he said he's received another 0.9 inches just today alone. So he's up over 9 inches in that area. Of course, radar estimates area-wide anywhere from 3 to 6 inches, even a little higher, closer towards the 10-inch range, portions of Lake Providence. And we've been seeing quite a few reports of a lot of people that got a lot of heavy rainfall, and it's all very well needed because these burn bans, they are still in effect for right now, but more rainfall means more likeliness of this actually being taken away. We called the statewide burn ban area, we called the state fire marshal. He's out of state at the moment, so the burn ban for the state continues to remain in effect, but we'll let you know if it gets dropped. 66 in Monroe, 60 in El Dorado. Don't expect it to warm too terribly much, and don't expect the dew points to really go much of anywhere since we got all this moisture around the region. Still seeing very strong winds, sustained at 22 out of the northeast in Monroe, and a lot of dry air building back into the region. Now seeing it really wrap up, but we're on the backside of the storm now, so a little bit longer and it will all be out of the region, and we'll be going back to much more clear skies. Futurecast for the rest of the day showing a little bit of rain clearing through the area. We'll clear out a little bit tonight and a much nicer day tomorrow, a little less cloudy as well. The GFS model showing this not to be just the first system, but maybe a second system coming as well. A large trough dipping into Texas. And of course, we know this track really well. Whenever we get these big surface lows in Texas coming across the area, they bring in these strong surface winds, giving us really good dynamics for very heavy rainfall. And what that means for us, a lot of heavy rain. So the rest of the day, breezy, rainy. That's pretty much what we're dealing with today. We'll top out right around 66, maybe a little bit warmer at best. Then after that, we get a few days of a break. Halloween, unfortunately, though, looking just a little bit wet and possibly rather breezy. We have to monitor this system very closely with very good dynamics. If current data comes to pass, we'll have some rather strong upper-level winds, which could promote some organized thunderstorm development. And, of course, that always comes with more rounds of heavy rainfall and the possibility of maybe now some flooding.
We'll talk about it more later. Just
Yes.
in the newsroom, Caldwell Parish has lifted their burn ban.
Oh, that's very good.
So
good
hopefully the first of many.
Hopefully.
Stay with us. Some tragedy on the football field in Chicago. We'll tell you all about it when we come back. Major change out of Oxford, Mississippi, where Ole Miss has elected to stop flying the state flag on campus because it bears a Confederate battle emblem. Interim Chancellor Morris Stocks ordered the flag lowered Monday morning. The action came just days after the Student Senate adopted a movement calling for the removal of the banner from campus. Since 1894, the Mississippi flag has had the Confederate battle emblem in the upper left-hand corner. A high school football player in Tennessee is in critical condition this afternoon after suffering a head injury during a game on Friday night. The injury comes as another high school in Chicago mourns the death of a student athlete. And here we all still have the memory of our own Tyrell Cameron, lost over a month ago while playing for Franklin Parish. All this raises new concerns about the safety of a sport played by more than 1 million American kids. Dean Reynolds reports from Chicago.
Friends and family gathered this weekend to remember 17-year-old Andre Smith, who suffered a fatal injury playing football for his high school. The Bogan High School senior collapsed during a game Thursday against Chicago Vocational after taking a hit right at the end of the contest. Though he was rushed to a local hospital, he died there the following morning.
Whenever I needed him, he was always there. And he was always there for anybody, whoever needed him.
Over the weekend, the Cook County Medical Examiner ruled the death accidental, caused by blunt force head injuries due to football.
You understand the risk, but it's a game, it's a game.
Smith is the 7th high school football player to die in the U.S. this year. Just days ago, Cameron Matthews of Texas passed away after collapsing on the sidelines. And last month, Evan Murray of New Jersey died from a lacerated spleen he suffered during a game.
High school football deaths are disturbing.
On Sunday, the American Academy of Pediatrics issued new guidelines aimed at improving the safety of youth football. The recommendations included having athletic trainers on sidelines of games, offering non-tackle football games as an alternative, and zero tolerance for illegal head-first hits.
There's too many head-to-head hits and leading with the head, known as spearing. That's been against the rules since 1976, and for some reason referees and coaches have gotten away from enforcing that rule.
We thank you for Andre's life.
To Andre Smith's teammates, his brother had this to say.
Just be aware, protect yourself, be cautious, because something just as simple as a football injury can end a whole life.